There's a quiet panic spreading through the world of software engineering. It's not happening in team meetings or on Slack. It's happening at 10 p.m., alone, in the cold glow of a monitor. It looks like an engineer named Maria scrolling through job postings, not because she wants to leave her job, but because she needs to know if she's being left behind. She's staring at a role for a generative AI engineer, and the salary starts $50,000 above her own. The numbers on the screen stare back at her. $180,000 to $250,000. She glances at her own monitor, at the stable, predictable application she maintains, and a cold dread seeps into her stomach. That feeling is the real story. The question, will AI replace software engineers, is a complete distraction. The reality is that AI is creating a parallel career track, a high-speed lane, and most engineers are stuck in traffic, watching it fly by. The debate about replacement is over. It ended before most people even realized it started. According to a recent DX summit, 92.6% of developers are already using an AI coding assistant. This isn't some future event, it is a present reality. The conflict isn't man versus machine, it's a great divide opening up within the engineering workforce itself. Which side of this divide do you feel like you're on right now? Comment in traffic or in the fast lane below. I'm genuinely curious to see the split. By the end of this video, I will show you the exact 3-step plan engineers like Maria are using to cross over to the higher paid side of this divide. And the first step is something you can master in a single week. The fear isn't about being replaced. It's about being left on the wrong side of a massive salary gap. And to understand that gap, you have to understand what AI is actually taking off your plate. Is it the interesting, creative work or the repetitive, boring work? The answer to that question changes everything. Imagine a split screen. On the left, it's 2020. A solid mid-level engineer is manually typing out a REST API controller. They're creating the file, writing the boilerplate imports, defining the class, and stubbing out the get, post, and put methods. It's necessary work, but it's a solved problem. It takes them 15, maybe 20 minutes of pure drudgery. On the right, it's 2026. A developer highlights a single line in a design document, right-clicks, and prompts an AI assistant like Cursor. Generate the full controller, service, and repository files for this user endpoint. The entire file structure appears complete and correct in under 30 seconds. That's the work being automated. The tedious, the predictable, the boilerplate. According to GitHub's own research, developers using GitHub Copilot complete their coding tasks 55% faster. And why? Because the AI is handling the grunt work, generating unit tests, translating a function from Python to JavaScript, writing a standard sorting algorithm. It's not automating strategic thinking, it's automating the typing. But this efficiency has a terrifying consequence. A Harvard University study found that following the widespread adoption of generative AI, the proportion of junior-level developer job postings fell by 16.3% relative to senior positions. Let that number sink in. The market is saying the first rung on the career ladder is being sawed off. This isn't a snapshot. It's a trend line pointing directly at 2026, where this gap will be even wider. What's the most tedious, repetitive task in your daily work that you'd love an AI to handle? Let everyone know in the comments. Your answer might give someone else an idea for their next automation script. The very tasks we used to give junior engineers to learn a code base are now the tasks we give to an AI. This isn't about AI coming for your job. It's about AI coming for the most tedious parts of your job, which frees you up to focus on what actually matters: architecture, system design, and complex problem solving. This releases the pressure of total replacement, but it creates a new, more sophisticated problem. If the entry level is vanishing, how does anyone build the experience to become senior in the first place? The career ladder we all grew up with is being redrawn in real time, and that redrawn ladder has a price tag. Because if AI is handling the boilerplate, it means the market is now paying a massive premium for the skills it cannot do. You need to see the actual numbers to understand just how urgent this pivot really is. We return to Maria, our backend engineer. Her late night research has shifted. She's no longer doom scrolling, she's pattern matching. She opens two job descriptions side by side. One is a standard senior software engineer role, the other is that generative AI engineer role. The standard role asks for 10 years of Python, microservices, and SQL. The AI role asks for something different. It lists skills like AI system orchestration and experience with RAG implementation. This is where Maria has her breakthrough. She realizes her existing skills are not obsolete, they are the foundation. The high value skills are not a replacement for good engineering, they are an extension of it. The market isn't asking for data scientists with PhDs. It's asking for experienced software engineers who can build robust systems using AI components. The valuable superpowers fall into three main categories. First, system design for AI native applications. This means knowing how to architect systems that include new components like vector databases and model APIs, right alongside the message queues and databases you already understand. Second, orchestration. This is the art of making multiple AI models and data sources work together reliably. Think retrieval augmented generation or RAG and agentic workflows. This is a classic backend engineering challenge, just with a new set of incredibly powerful tools. And third, MLOps. This is simply bringing software engineering discipline, things like testing, deployment, and monitoring, to the chaotic world of machine learning models. It's DevOps for AI. These skills are the difference between simply using an AI tool to write code faster and building with AI as a core component of the products you ship. One is a productivity boost, the other is a career defining superpower. Of these three skill sets, AI system design, orchestration, or MLOps, which one are you most interested in developing? Comment your choice below. Now, let's talk about the money, because seeing the numbers is the moment the vague anxiety about AI transforms into a concrete financial reality. For a mid level engineer, the average base salary is around $150,000. For a mid level AI and machine learning engineer, number is $183,428. That's a $33,000 premium. Now look at the senior level. A senior software engineer averages around $220,000. A senior AI and machine learning engineer, $280,000 or more. That's a $60,000 gap. At the highest levels, that gap can easily exceed $80,000 per year. These aren't my numbers. That $183,000 figure is based on market projections from Indeed, looking ahead to 2026. This isn't a future trend. Every month you stand still is costing you thousands of dollars in lost potential earnings. Gartner validated this urgency when they predicted that by 2027, a full 80% of the software engineering workforce will need to acquire new skills because of generative AI. This is the real answer to the question, will AI replace software engineers? No. It will just pay the ones who adapt 40% more. That number changes things. That $60,000 gap feels like a wall, but it's not. It's a door. And I'm about to give you the three keys to unlock it. This is the three-step plan you can start tonight to put yourself on the higher paid side of that gap. This plan doesn't require a PhD. It doesn't require you to abandon your current skills. It's about augmenting the expertise you already have. We'll follow Maria as she executes these three steps, turning her anxiety into action. Step 1. Master your tools. Don't just use them. Like most developers, Maria was already using GitHub Copilot for basic autocomplete. That's like owning a race car and only driving it to the grocery store. To cross the gap, she dedicates 1 week to mastering its advanced features. Instead of just passively accepting suggestions, she starts giving explicit commands. She selects a complex block of legacy code and prompts it. Refactor this to be more modular and add comments. She highlights an entire function and instructs it to generate comprehensive unit tests for this logic. When a cryptic error message pops up, She feeds it directly to the AI and asks for three potential causes and solutions. She even experiments with an AI first editor like Cursor, learning to chat with her entire codebase. This first step is the smallest, but it's a crucial mindset shift from being a passive consumer of AI to an active director of it. Step 2. Build one high leverage portfolio project. This is the most important step. Maria decides to build a simple retrieval augmented generation or RAG application. This sounds intimidating, but it's fundamentally a system integration project. It's a chat with your documents app. First, she sets up a simple web framework like FastAPI. Second, she writes a script to load a few of her own PDF documents and break them into smaller chunks. Third, she uses a standard library to turn those text chunks into numerical representations called embeddings, and she stores them in a simple vector database. This is the core of the retrieval part. Finally, she writes the core logic. When a user asks a question, the system finds the most relevant chunks of text from her documents and feeds them to a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude, along with the original question as context. The model then generates an answer based only on the information she provided. In one weekend, she has built a project that demonstrates the single most in-demand skill in AI engineering right now. She proves she can do more than just use AI. She can build reliable, valuable systems with it. Step 3 is to rebrand your experience. Skills are useless if no one knows you have them. Maria goes to her LinkedIn profile. The before is solid but generic. One bullet point reads, developed REST APIs for data processing. She reframes it. The after reads, engineered AI-ready data pipelines for LLM consumption, enabling efficient data retrieval for generative AI applications. Another bullet point went from wrote unit tests for a web application to leveraged AI-powered tools like GitHub Copilot to generate comprehensive unit tests, improving code coverage by 20%. She isn't lying. She is translating her existing experience into the language of the problems that AI native companies are trying to solve. She didn't change what she did. She changed the perceived value of what she did. And that changes everything. Be honest. How much have you really dug into the advanced features of your AI coding assistant? Comment just scratching the surface or power user below. No judgment here, just a baseline. And if you're actually going to build that RAD project and want to see more hands-on guides for AI-augmented engineers, make sure you're subscribed because we're breaking down agentic workflows next week. This 3-step plan, master, build, rebrand, is the new career ladder. But it only works if you commit, because the cost of standing still is higher than you think. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark is a senior engineer with a decade of experience. He prides himself on writing clean, efficient code the right way. He saw AI tools as a crutch, a shortcut that skipped the hard-won lessons of experience. He was a craftsman, and he believed craftsmanship would always be in demand. Then he found himself in a meeting. The team was discussing a new AI-powered feature. Mark was the most senior engineer in the room, but as the conversation turned to vector embeddings and context windows, he had nothing to contribute. He was silent. Then, a junior engineer, someone with less than 2 years of experience, who had just built a RAG project on the side, walked up to the whiteboard. She confidently sketched out a system architecture that orchestrated a large language model with their internal APIs. She wasn't just talking about code. She was talking about system design at a level that made Mark's expertise feel suddenly, shockingly irrelevant. In that moment, Mark realized his 10 years of experience didn't just not count, it was holding him back. His deep knowledge of their legacy systems was a liability, not an asset, for this new class of problems. His expertise was devalued not because he was a bad engineer, but because the very definition of a valuable engineer had changed while he wasn't looking. His story is the real, brutal answer to the question, will AI replace software engineers? It won't replace the person, but it will mercilessly replace the relevance of their old skills. Mark's story isn't about failure, it's about a choice. The choice to stay put while the ground shifts beneath your feet. But you have a different choice. That feeling, staring at that salary gap at 10 p.m., that's not a threat. It's an invitation to cross over. The choice you face isn't about being replaced by AI. It's about whether you'll be the engineer who stagnates or the engineer who augments. The ground has shifted, but now you have the map. You are not a potential victim of this change. You are an engineer who is about to use it to become more valuable than ever before. If you're ready to take that first step, I've created a free tool to help you map it out. It's an AI career readiness scorecard. It's a 2-minute quiz that shows you exactly which new skills will give you the most leverage based on your current role. Before you close this tab, before you check another email, take those 2 minutes. The link is right at the top of the description. Go find out what your first move should be.